Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show.
The 6 o'clock show.
Ah, we're pretty much on time. What do you think of that?
I am thoroughly impressed, Steve.
Well, as am I. As am I. And a lot of activity in the chat already. In
I
fact,
know we're talking about fashion.
a
It's a
very
thing.
a very impressive little bit of information from Radical Bacon, who shares with us. I've knit the sweater wash wears in this episode. That is my hat off to you, my friend. Actually, I can kind of relate to that level of fandom because I've never knit a sweater for a show that I really like, but I did grow Commander Riker's beard. So,
Yeah. See,
I mean,
I mean, I've never done that.
have you even tried, Dana?
Well, I mean, I have like
You have
two
like two little
follicles.
hairs.
I have two follicles. I haven't. I got nothing, man.
Mm.
They're not being very cooperative right now.
So but you could pass for if you pull your hair back and put a wig on, maybe you could pass for first season.
Season
Riker.
one, there we go. And I do, Steve. I do
both
have
tall.
wigs.
Yeah, yes you do.
I do. I, however, don't have a short dark wig. My dark wig is long. I could be long-haired Commander. Was he Commander in?
Yes.
Is he Commander in the very first
in
one?
the first season? Yeah.
I could be long-haired Commander Riker.
Riker never gets promoted. He gets Riker's one of the.
He's like Splunk and Johnson in that way.
Yes, well, actually,
something they have in common.
More than you think, because just as Jason's character was briefly promoted and then knocked back down to Ensign during our second season, Riker has been temporarily promoted to captain a couple of times, and then always like Picard comes back and he gets stuck back down to commander, and then of course at the end of the last movie, the last TNG movie, he does finally get promoted. And then when he shows up in Star Trek Picard, he is a captain. So he does eventually get promoted, but on TNG, he never gets promoted.
So like, does he become captain of the Enterprise?
No.
Or like they move him away.
He becomes at the end of the last TNG movie, he takes command of a ship called the Titan. And then by the
way,
yeah, I know. And then by the time we get to Picard, he is no longer on active duty, but he still holds the rank of captain. And when he comes back to active duty at the end of the series, spoiler alert, he's in command. It's just some random ship. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just like, it's not like his ship. It's just the ship that he took command of for this one mission. So. Yeah, and Corey, yes, he pops up in Lower Decks in animated form, and he's a captain there too. He's on the Titan, so where he calls for warp in the factor of 5, 6, 7, 8, because he likes jazz. Dana,
no,
are you okay?
I'm suffering, Steve. That was bad.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't write it. So you're suffering from that. I assume you didn't hear my my attempt to channel the spirit of Pete Seeger in today's Trek Actually video.
No. Well, but
because that's a lot rougher than Riker doing a count-in.
Here's the thing. That was fine.
Okay.
Jazz is syncopated, for God's sake. I mean, yes, I know they're called jazz hands, and like Fosse's choreography is tends to be with music that has more of a swing beat, but it's not really jazz. I mean, the jazz. You missed out because I was talking about this in class. I don't even know how to say it. We looked at E. E. Cummings' poem. Are you familiar with E. E. Cummings?
Did you show them Grasshopper?
Is that what you call it? Like, I don't know.
Well, because I know you told me that you were going to go over that with him, and I think remember I
Yeah, I
told
don't
you
know. Is the poem called Grasshopper?
I think it's called
Because
Grasshopper, and yeah, and
I
like
don't know because it
who
doesn't say Grasshopper as the title.
and
For
I mean,
God's
it
sakes,
doesn't say Grasshopper except for the
I
very
don't
end.
know.
It
And
doesn't
I'm
say
like,
Grasshopper in it at all, but
Erpofagusser? And I'm like, I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's what I'm going for. So I'm really not sure how to say, you know, Joe, it's just
you are a
and
jazz
so
gatekeeper.
I'm totally a jazz gatekeeper because what one of the things that I learned really in first block when I was talking about the fact that this is free verse and it's really weird. I scrolled up to where it says E. Cummings. Dude was born in like 1894, like the late 19th century. I was like, whoa, because I'm like I was imagining that this poem was part of like the Beat generation.
Right. It's very, very modern. It feels very
it's
modern.
So not.
Yeah.
That was first published in 1923. And I'm like, oh, the jazz era. I was like, so
everybody was high, including E.
but
Cummings.
and also, but it's very experimental, and I can see how being shortly after the First World War. I mean, you had that experimentation in music. I mean, that is what jazz is, and Chris Peach points out that there's Dixieland jazz, and so I would. It's something that I was talking about. The experimentation, because I was like, dude grew up in the freaking Victorian era and the Edwardian era, where it's very very regimented, very high style, very emphasis on social acceptability and propriety and rules, and
highly
then
formal.
The 20s hit, and then 1923 he comes up with this, and it's just, I mean, it's really you can see the reaction to the culture that he'd grown up with because I said, okay, all right, students, so I want you to just go ahead and work on, you'll have most of the period to work while I talk to you about this, but I do want you to pause and just look at the screen, and all I had up there was the title and his name, and I said, just tell me what your first impression are. Well, I didn't, there were no grasshoppers, but let me tell you, I got a whole lot of crickets. And let's see, what all did they say? What are your predictions? I think every class came up with, my prediction is I'm not going to understand this. I had the guess, somebody guessed that the dashes between the letters might be for missing letters, which was I was like, that's good. Somebody said, is this, does it represent that it has some kind of connection to Morse code? I did have somebody guess in a couple of the classes that if you rearrange some of the letters or took out some of the letters, you might be able to use the other letters to spell something.
You
don't have to take the letters out. You can, but it's hard to figure out just from those letters. Hi, some random geek. Woo-hoo. And then I had somebody in my last class today said, well, it's interesting. I said, that reminds me of taking French in high school. And we had a French culture day when, people brought in foods from France. And the rule was you couldn't say that you didn't like something, but just take a small bit of the things that students had attempted to replicate as best they could, and if you couldn't think of anything else good to say about it, you could say, well, it's interesting, and that's not rude. that's how you get around.
That's like
rude.
The code. That's the
code.
That's the euphemism for I don't like this.
I'm not going to eat this.
Interesting.
Anymore, ever. It's interesting.
It certainly makes a statement.
So yeah, it what that statement is will not be said in present company.
It's a statement I have agreed not to make during this event.
Tell you after the show.
It's not. Ooh. So
yeah, and totally off task, and we're talking about Star Trek and not really relevant to this. But
no, but that's okay. We're getting ready for next week because next week is Star Trek. This week is Firefly.
Absolutely true.
And
that's absolutely true.
We will be watching episode 12 of Firefly this evening, which is The Message.
which is an interesting episode.
I can hardly wait to watch it because, of course, this being in accordance with the gimmick of the show, I have never seen it.
You haven't seen it.
So, we'll just have to see.
All right.
Yeah. So, and by the way, I mentioned it in the chat earlier, but for people who have come in since then, if you like me are watching the episode on Hulu or some other version of the episode that has the previously on montage at the beginning, skip past that and skip to time code 0018. So, or in other words, 18 seconds in, and that's where we're going to start. Because for Dana and for everybody else who's watching it on DVD or some version of it that doesn't have the previously on, that's where they're going to start. So we'll all be more or less synced up.
Yes.
So skip.
Thank you, Mr. Producer.
So, well, Some Random Geek is not actually in the stream, so I have to be both host and producer.
He's not in the.
Well, he's in the chat, but he's not on. He's not on. He's not in the stream with us.
Oh. Okay.
And he's usually there. He's the de facto producer of the Patreon hangouts.
That's true. That's true.
But
he also helps a lot right there from the chat.
He does. So yeah. No disrespect to the role played in the chat. I'm throwing up the links, and Geek, you're fantastic. But when we're actually in the stream together. He's like, well, it's 5 minutes to 12. We better wrap up. I'm like, okay, cool.
Always, Joe. And you are too. Okay, well, I'm ready.
He'll be in my heart no matter what they say.
Okay, so have you seen that one?
No, but I've heard the song.
That much of a Phil Collins fan?
I'm that much of a Phil Collins, and you know what else?
It's a good soundtrack.
And that one's bittersweet because that is the song that won an Oscar the same year that Amy Mann was nominated for "Save Me" from Magnolia, which totally should have won because it's 1,000 times better song. But I can't be mad.
Phil.
But I can't be mad at Phil Collins. He's Phil Collins.
You can't.
Really? Amy Mann can. I believe she. I believe her first live show after the Oscars when she lost the Best Original Song Oscar to Phil Collins. She reportedly, according to legend, opened the show by saying "fuck Phil Collins." So I think Amy was a little raw about it. At first, maybe she's gotten over it since, but she was a little raw about it for a while afterwards. What with it being just a much better song from a much better movie. I haven't seen Tarzan, but come on, there's no universe where Magnolia is not better than Disney's fucking Tarzan. Anyway.
I thought it was boring.
Magnolia?
Mm-hmm.
And yet you bought me the DVD.
Yeah, because I knew you.
Because you knew I would like it.
Because I knew that you would appreciate it as a film.
And I still have that, by the way. That's the version of Magnolia that I still have after 20 years.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad you didn't just scratch it up out of spite. You're like, no. I gotta keep that.
Gotta keep Magnolia, baby. Gotta keep Magnolia. It made it through.
Oh, Joe says the South Park guys were unhappy. Oh, was that the year of the South Park movie?
I think was it?
Oh my God.
Yeah, because they were nominated for
slaps.
They were nominated for Blame Canada, which was one of the only songs that had enough non-profanity in it that they could actually
I didn't know that. I should have known that.
I mean, honestly, Blame Canada is a great song. I have always preferred Uncle Fucker, but you're never going to get that through. That's never going to get nominated for an Oscar.
Well, can't they just beep it?
I mean, they had to bleep some of Blame Canada. I remember that performance. Robin Williams sang Blame Canada on the Oscar telecast, and they did a gag where whenever he got to a swear word, one of the dancers would come up behind him and put their hand over his mouth. It was pretty clever. Because there's a couple swears in Blame Canada too, just a few. But
I'm going through the lyrics to find where they are. I don't know.
And that bitch Anne Murray too is probably one. With all their hockey hullabaloo and that bitch Anne Murray too. Blame Canada. I guess I don't know. It may have been a creative choice too.
I'm going to disagree. I don't know. I think it's what would Brian Boitano do. I love that one so much.
Now that's a good one too.
I
What
know
would Brian
it's so
Boitano
good.
do if he were here right now? He'd make
I'm
a
sure
plan and
he'd
he'd
kick
follow
ass
through.
or two.
That's what Brian
Boitano
Boitano do.
Dut, 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 dut.
That is a good one.
It's so good.
Anyway,
Two SoCals and a triple Lutz
while wearing a blindfold.
While wearing a blindfold. He beat up Kublai Khan because Brian Boitano doesn't take shit from anybody.
I love it, just random. He traveled back in time and beat up Kublai Khan. Just because I guess Kublai Khan was giving him shit, from the past. And he was like, no, Brian Boitano doesn't take shit from anybody. I'll skate back in time and I'll fuck that guy up.
Yeah. Oh, it's such.
Okay. Anyway,
Random Geek is keeping us. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm not actually. I will not apologize because I'm not sorry. We're not starting on time. We started the
stream. Yeah, we're
stream on time, but now we're almost 20 minutes in.
Shall we begin?
We should begin.
Okay, everybody get ready.
You're the one who's supposed to count us in.
Well,
I tell me to stop talking, but we know that's not going to matter.
Shut your mouth. We're starting the show.
I'll be like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to keep talking. Okay, here we go. And everybody, just a reminder.
Screw you. I do what I want.
As some random geek pointed out in the chat, we are at negative or 4403 remaining on Hulu, or 018 in on Hulu. And we're going to start. I'll count us in from 3 as usual. Dana, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay,
I promise.
Here we go. Everybody ready? I'm counting us in now. In 3, 2, 1, play. It's a futuristic geek show. And I'm out 12 bits. I love going to the freak show on a first date.
Cows don't squawk. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, Simon's talking. This isn't good. Oh gosh, okay, here we go.
He's rocking a Wesley sweater there too.
What?
He's rocking a Wesley sweater.
He really is. Good for him, but I can't.
Okay.
I can't deal with it. Okay. How much longer before it goes bad? Let's watch for Kaylee not to smile. Okay, they're talking. And there we go. He's smiling more, and she's smiling less. Oh, and she's smiling, but it's forced, and his smile is going away. Oh, God. Okie dokie. Oh, no. Okay. Steve, wave at me when we're done.
Okay.
When the pain is over. Okay, I think it's.
I told you not to wear the Wesley sweater.
Oh. Oh.
Are you ahead of me somehow? You're reacting to stuff that I don't think has happened yet.
I'm at 451 in.
Okay. Yeah, you should be. I don't know. It, like you just reacted big, like something incredible just happened, and nothing has happened.
What is are you at him getting the post?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Oh,
That's
okay.
all.
Okay. Because I was like,
I've
what are
seen
you?
this before.
Yeah, he's reading from the. They're looking at the crate.
Uh-huh. The big one?
Yeah, I made you the enclosed, and now Zoe's got the crowbar. Pretty cunning, don't you think?
It's classic. It's so classic.
It's okay. I mean, is
But
that
I
what
mean,
you is? But I mean,
and everybody's reaction.
but that's it. That's
And
just
it's
your.
from his mom.
I mean, it's okay. It's
And did you listen to the letter? He's
yeah.
sending
It's
his mom money.
God. There's what this show loves people in boxes. There's so many people in boxes in this show. Yeah, the hat's okay. I feel like you're overreacting to it. Like it's just like, oh, a funny hat. Like
But
I don't know.
just I like it. I mean, come on, everybody. Yeah, some random geek. Well, that's because he's a boy.
That's yes, that's the big difference between when um River got sprung from the box.
Jim McClory.
People do love unboxing shows. Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's I knew what was in there, and yeah, I love him. I love him stumbling through the letter. I love the note about the addendum about him, especially since we just saw him like holding out on Mal. You know,
Yeah.
you know, the news that he's been sending money home. That it's just this little, just if you're paying attention, it's just a little bit extra, and just
I guess it makes sense.
Summer is a female, or River's a female character.
Yeah. And as we know now, Joss Whedon is kind of a scumbag. So, actually,
and, well,
makes more sense in hindsight.
But also it's cultural.
Yeah.
As Kevin Bacon has pointed out, we need more dudes.
Yeah. You first, Kevin. He stays
I'm
in
sure
good
he'd be okay with it.
He stays in good shape. He takes care of himself.
He takes his craft seriously.
His body is his instrument.
Alan Rickman would approve. Oh, we're never serious about the craft. Kevin Bacon, however.
Never serious
Kevin
about
Bacon.
the craft.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon is an actor's actor.
He's eating canned beans.
You want me to heat those up for you? Fine, like this. Any AT-ATs? Okay, that's funny. There are other schools of thought. So they do have AT-ATs. Oh, now they're playing Quidditch? Guess that bullet caught up to him.
Joe McClory, exactly.
You don't want to catch the Seeker.
No, thank you.
Nope. God, I love that Wesley sweater. He is rocking that thing.
Yep, just like Wesley.
He's acquired Wesley's powers when he donned the sweater.
He already had the.
That's what an autopsy is, yes.
An iPod.
Oh, cool.
90s tech.
These are state of the art again in whatever year this is. And don't forget to give my love to Rose. Oh, it's bad guy music. I don't like this guy.
I don't think you're supposed to.
He's not a nice man, and he doesn't say very nice things.
Dude, you just described yourself.
How dare you? He should be easy to find. He's the lead protagonist of the series.
Nah.
3, 2, 1, pause. Well, I mean, I may be talking out of school here, but I think those fellows mean business.
Do you?
Yeah, indeed I do. Indeed I do. So
I mean, because
yeah.
the threat at the because the request at the end, the threat at the end, tell anyone that we've been here,
And you'll wish.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or tell anyone that we've been here, or warn Captain Reynolds, and they could have avoided that by, killing him and disposing of the corpse.
Indeed.
And they chose not to do that.
Because bad guys are dumb.
Well, bad guys are dumb, but also, what he said, may have resonated with them. If you leave quickly, you can probably catch him. So
right.
It may have been more for the expedience.
Yeah, like who wants to kill a guy and then have to dispose of the body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you light him on fire, you gotta stand there and wait till he's done burning. I mean, God, who has the time? God.
Well,
you know?
it tends to be kind of noisy with the screaming and all.
Yeah, that too. Most people don't.
I mean,
burn
they're in
quiet,
a very crowded area.
Yeah, and you know, there's the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most people don't burn quiet. Oh, Garrett's here. Hi, Garrett. Garrett says, quick note regarding your union video. The Marx quote about chains is advocating that workers form political parties, not unions. And the last 150 years have shown this to be a bad strategy. Duly noted. Apparently Rom didn't know that either. I guess Rom is like me. He's never actually read Marx in context. He's only read quotes. And he was like, this sounds good.
I guess he was guessing that the others would be similarly educated.
Well, he was talking to Quark, so I mean, I know Quark ain't never read no Marx.
You don't think so?
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
Something tells me Quark isn't too terribly well read on 19th century Earth political philosophers.
I was thinking, at all.
Or at all. True. Yeah. So anyway, back to the episode. I guess they just want to get this dead guy for some reason.
He's a bad man, Majima.
Yeah. And Jane has a funny hat that people have made way too big a deal over.
So what would you call that kind of hat?
I was trying to think of it because you've seen hats like that before, but I can't think of, it's not like, I can't think of what you would call it. I keep thinking, was there a character in A Christmas Story that had one like that? I can't remember. It's been so long since I watched that movie.
Ralphie has a cap with ear flaps.
With flaps, but it's not that. It's not like
but
a
it's
knit.
It's not knit.
Yeah. Radical Bacon sharing with us that the hat is a lot easier to knit than wash his sweater. Which presumably...
Bacon, I'm curious about that. Is it easier or just less time consuming because, the sweater's big?
It's less to knit.
So...
did you just go through like a Firefly knitting phase, Radical Bacon, where you're just like, I'm going to practice knitting by knitting various articles from Firefly, which is a fine way to practice, I'm sure, but.
That's true. Yeah. With the bobble and the strings. Yes. I remember that.
Mixon
yes.
has it. Yeah. A Peruvian hat.
So here's the thing. This has bothered me for ever since I've been down here. So a beanie is knit. Yes.
Yes. But I've also seen like, I've heard that for years and people have called those hats beanies, right? But do you remember like the kind of the skull cap thing with a little propeller on top? Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, people called that a beanie, like from the Little Rascals. Yeah.
It's also, I think that has more to do with the shape of the cap as well. Yeah. You know what people call those knit caps down here?
What do they call them?
Toboggans.
I've heard them called that. People call them that around here too, but yeah. I've heard them called toboggans. Yeah, my granny called them a toboggan, yeah. I guess I'm just far enough south to have heard that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I've heard them called toboggans. Oh. I used to just call it a knit cap.
Thank you. Exactly. It's a cap, it's knit, it's a knit cap.
Problem solved. Yeah.
Else to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Jim McClory. I'm like, because I had a student ask me, well, what is a toboggan? I'm like, a toboggan.
It's a sled. Yeah.
No runners. It's flat. It goes really fast.
Yeah.
And apparently a toboggan got its name because that's the kind of hat you wear when you ride a toboggan.
Apparently, because Granny also called those kinds of sleds toboggans. So the word did double duty in her vocabulary. It was the hat.
Yeah, because you're up where it snows.
Yeah. Great. I love it.
See, Corey, thank you. Oh, gracious. All right. So not that, watch cap. Yes, Radical Bacon. Yeah.
Ooh, a watch cap. I like that. That's a cool name too. It makes it sound like it's way more important than it is. Hand me my watch cap.
You put it on, you keep your head warm when it's dark and it's cold and you got to do your patrols.
Yeah. Or when you're going to do some crimes.
Well, that too.
Put on a black knit cap, pull it down low over your head.
You got to watch for the cops.
Yeah, it's your cop watching cap. My cop watcher.
Yeah.
Math Adam, you've actually never heard of Trek Reluctantly? Well, you have now, my friend, because here you
Da
are.
da da! It keeps your watch. Well, I mean, I guess if you put your
watch warm.
Up, you put your hand up on top of your head high enough and pull the,
Yeah.
Although I'm more of the pull your hands inside your sleeves and tuck them like that.
Well, and it's like just pull your sleeve down, man. Because I mean, if it's cold enough to be wearing a knit cap, it's cold enough to be wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
Keep your watch warm. Just pull it down over your watch, and your watch will be fine.
And probably gloves too, or mittens, or glittens.
Yes, exactly.
You know where you have the flap?
It's a
like
flap.
gloves,
It's
but then
a
you have the
mitten
flap. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a mitten that folds back. Yeah.
You got the little Velcro or a button or something. Yep.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah. So shall we jump back into it?
Let's do
it. So everybody, we are paused, or I am paused. Those of you who are watching it with me on Hulu or whatever, I'm paused at 17:37. So we will jump back into it at the count of, well, not at the count of 3, at the count of play after 3. That's how
play
it works.
isn't a count, dude, but whatever.
3, 2, 1 play is what it's going to be, and you play on play.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Thank you for clarifying. I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Okay. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
NC-1082, any hat can become a makeshift luchador mask if you use your imagination.
Exactly. Just pull that fucker down far enough.
I don't know, Jonathan. I might say The Price is Right would be the anti-Star Wars genre. I mean, you could definitely get further from Star Wars than Firefly.
Yeah, this is still sci-fi. It's very similar to Star Wars in most ways.
Speculative fiction, yeah.
It's very similar to Star Wars, except that Star Wars has more aliens. I mean, you don't know any, do you? Just leave her alone. When she lies down, just let her sleep. Anyway, now he's dead.
They both are, probably.
That's true. Yeah.
So, yes.
I would love to see some shadow puppets wash.
He could use his dinosaurs.
Come on, it's the perfect time. Check his ass. Check his ass. Good thing he changed out of his nice sweater. How unforeseen. Just let it play through.
There's our naked guy.
Hey. So he wasn't naked in the box. He was naked after he got out of the box.
Well, for the autopsy, it's a little inconvenient.
You want to get rid of the clothes for the autopsy, yeah.
Excuse me.
You're excused. I just recognized that guy. Was it gold? My Pac-Man's going crazy over here. Simon's gonna kill him. Oh no, his heart exploded. What a tragedy. Well, that's clever. Garrett has a good question in the chat. If they can only be transported in a person, how did his organs get there?
Well, because his organs aren't the
The
lab
grown,
grown.
like the lab grown kind, yeah. I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna be right here.
Some random geek. I think you're making an assumption there. We don't know enough about his character. I mean, you know.
To that guy?
Some random geek because he was in a crate. Interwesting.
Indeed.
No, Garrett, I'm more meant later on in his dealings with. I mean, Everybody's still afraid of Zoe. I mean, Gary, you could easily say that we don't know how successful he was at his crime. Oh, guess what? They crazy.
See, this is totally some Star Wars shit. Right here.
Actually, I've done this. Except it was actually, I think it's on Hoth, which does not exist in the Firefly universe.
No, presumably not.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't laugh.
Oh, there are 3 dimensions. I forgot.
What the heck? Mal told everybody to sit down.
Yeah, sit down. This week on The Mandalorian.
Don't spill the tea.
Prayer. Three, two, one, pause. The plot thickens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some random geek in the chat points out that now that we are on Hoth, the AT-ATs will show up. See, it all comes full circle.
It really does. So at Disney World, they now have a ride where you can pilot or gun or what else do you do? Like do engineering for the Millennium Falcon.
For the Falcon, yeah.
And they have that scene. They also have that scene in Star. Do they have that in Star Tours? I know you go on Hoth, but I don't think you actually have a canyon scene.
Yeah.
Through that one, through Hoth in that one. They
but
do
yeah,
have a pod racer scene.
I'm sure. Well, hopefully, it's more exciting when you're in it than it is when you're watching it in the movie.
Oh, the pod racer scene.
The pod racer scene, yeah.
I don't know about exciting. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I remember when Phantom Menace came out, and like before it came out, like George Lucas was really fucking hyping the pod race scene. He was like, "You're gonna love the pod race. The pod race is the most exciting thing." The pod race is so boring. I could not. I mean, but
the Star Tours has an advantage. Your pilot is C-3PO.
Well, that would have improved it.
Because of course, you know, he's narrating the whole thing. It's like, oh, we can't do that. R2-D2, what are you thinking? And and you know, he's like, oh, now we're doing this. Wait, we can't. That's the crowd. You can't drive us that way. So he's being incredibly neurotic, and it's absolutely adorable. And of course, all right. So people, if you have not ridden Star Tours and or you have not seen the pod race scene, close your ears for a little bit. I'll give you a thumbs up when spoilers are over. But you win the pod race. And C-3PO is very excited about this, and it's absolutely freaking adorable. Okay, spoilers over. You're good. So yeah.
Garrett points out the pod race demonstrated important innovations in VFX. That's why the industry was excited about it. I mean, apparently
from a technical standpoint,
and that was the case with a lot of what the Star Wars prequels did, and also I mean with Avatar as well. Like they did definitely push the envelope forward in terms of visual effects. It's just a shame that they couldn't have used them to tell a remotely interesting story. But technically, absolutely. Technically, you know,
and
artistically, the pod race scene to me is a big thumbs down. It's just so fucking boring. But visual, but technically, sure, I'm willing.
Richard Moore and Philip Kehoe point out that you know, the N64 game. I mean, that's literally what it feels like. Oh, this is an advertisement for a video game.
Yeah. ER Mixon points out the pod race was fun for the first 10 minutes, then it gets tedious. That's like, I mean,
and I will say Disney also has an Avatar, or has two Avatar rides, and they're both absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The flight, it's the one that's going to have the longer line. The technical specifications on it are just absolutely amazing. The queuing, the staging, it's all just like, if you know much about theme park ride development, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And even the secondary ride, which is a dark ride like Pirates of the Caribbean is, well, Small World isn't really a dark ride, but like Pirates, the animatronics are really, really well developed. So it's neat to go, especially if you have some time and you can go from park to park, to go to some of the older rides and look at some of the earlier animatronics, and then because they did update Pirates, and then go to some of the newer ones and see how those have been updated. Another one that has some newer animatronics, that has newer animatronics, but not the faces are not they're animated. They actually have literal screens for the faces. Is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So that's, you know, it's interesting, but the bodies are animatronic. So the combinations there are just cool. Yeah. I like the technical stuff when I can actually look at it. When it's on screen, it's just like, okay, those are nice effects. It's, you know, I don't know. It's just different for me.
Yeah. Some Random Geek, by the way, no, Disney does not own Fox News. Fox News was not part of the Disney Fox merger. Yeah, so I mean, like I say, like I can easily imagine both sequences from the Star Wars prequels and also scenes from Avatar being way more fun as rides than as movies. Because I mean, like none of the prequels nor Avatar have particularly impressed me as films. But
God, everybody went to see Avatar.
You know, it's funny when me and Jason reviewed, I can't remember if we talked about this or not, because Jason and I reviewed Avatar not too long ago on Late Seating. I think it was last year maybe, but Avatar, everybody saw it except for me. I didn't see it until I watched it for the podcast. Like I skipped it in the theater. But like it was, you know, it made all the money in the world. Everybody saw it.
And then it just dropped off the face of the earth.
Exactly. It left no like cultural footprint at all. Like people still
really,
talk.
And I mean, and it really was something different, you know, the whole, you know, I mean, it was incredibly preachy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But you know, the idea of, you know, essentially having your consciousness projected into like a being on another planet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting. It's intriguing. and it just, yeah, yeah.
And I mean, in terms of like the message, like it does, it has a very strong environmentalist message, which I appreciate.
Again, preachy.
No, very, yeah. I mean,
like seriously, they had to like unobtainium.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
It's hey, no, James Cameron is many things. Subtle is not one of them. He is an incredibly talented filmmaker in many ways, but
that ain't one.
He is not subtle.
Let me tell you,
all.
the Lorax as a children's book is less preachy. Like Aesop's fables are less preachy.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice. Look, he's a big blockbuster Hollywood filmmaker. He's one of the most commercially successful filmmakers ever. It's nice that, as a part of his, like vanity project to demonstrate breakthrough special effects, he chose to tell a story that had really, really strong, like pro-environmentalist themes. That's nice. I give him a hand for that.
That's not nothing.
But it's exactly. But is it a good movie? No. Like it's just
as some random geek points out, it's Fern Gully with giant blue people.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not even real animated.
And I didn't think Fern Gully was that great either. The other thing is the other movie, because people did compare it to Fern Gully. People also compared it, rightly so, I think, to Dances with Wolves, which is another movie I just don't like very much. So I feel like maybe part of the problem with me is that James Cameron was ripping off movies that I didn't like in the first place. It's like, a 3-hour movie directed by Kevin Costner about a white guy who, quote unquote, goes native. And it's like, oh, good. Okay, great. This is great. Great. Yeah.
I've never seen Fern Gully.
I mean, it's actually, you know what it is? It's Robin Williams' audition tape for Aladdin is what it is. Because he does the voice of the bat in that. And it's like Disney must have seen that and said, get him for Aladdin. Like that's basically the only value in it to me is like it's like, oh, it's Robin Williams doing the genie before he got cast as the genie.
Oh, some random geek. I am familiar with that scene. I know that scene. Tim Curry. I know that scene.
Yeah. Garrett makes
on the other hand, you could just like watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show and he sings even more.
And you've got Tim Curry singing all over that thing.
Yep.
Garrett
he's got sparkles.
Garrett points out, when it comes to film, even leftists cannot break out of seeing them only as entertainment for them rather than as an industry of workers doing work. And, that is something that I still, as you know, Garrett, because you reminded me of it a couple of times during streams like this, I have to be reminded of that sometimes too. And I think it's whether you're a leftist or not, if you give a shit about working people at all, wherever you are on the political spectrum, I think it is always good to keep in mind that even a bad movie puts people to work. And usually those are union jobs, not always, but usually those are union jobs and they're good paying jobs. And, even a movie like Garrett has pointed out, because he's in New Zealand, I mean, the Lord of the Rings movies, which I am not terribly impressed by at all in terms of their artistic value, but in terms of the New Zealand film industry, I mean, they were titanic. I mean, they were, they were hugely important and still are. So you can't, there's sort of the artistic side and then there's the business side. And people always think of the business side as making movie stars and executives rich, which is true, but it also puts a lot of working class and middle class people to work as well, which is super important.
Yeah, but I think it's fair to critique that as well. I mean, like we talked about, that a lot of what Avatar, accomplished was technical stuff. And I said that, for me, that's great. It pushes, the development of the technology forward. Yeah. That's great. And but I mean, it's kind of like me as a teacher, I know that I'll have some students who talk about, the impact that I've made on them, but it feels good. But at the same point, I know that, it's not not just me. It's not just me. They may feel like, I've made more of a difference than other teachers. And then there are other students who are going to feel like, well, Miss Cole didn't care about me at all. Da, da, da. And
Yeah.
that's not true either. A film like, being a teacher in a public school is very much a cooperative endeavor. And, sometimes it works and sometimes it works less well.
Mm-hmm.
And I, that it is what it is. Just the fact that, there's always work to do. The idea that this film gave people jobs. There are other stories to tell.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Or stories that could be told, these stories could be told in different ways. All of the stories, this story that we're watching now could have been told in different ways. And, those are choices that people make. And when I teach, I want to do the best job that I can. And I also want to see the best results possible. And some of that rests on other people. A lot of that is stuff that I can't control.
I mean,
I think challenging.
I think that's a fair point. But on the other hand, I mean, in an industry like the entertainment industry, especially like the movie and TV industry, where so much of the work is short term just by design. If you get a job as, working, whether you're on the crew or you're in the visual effects department or your costume department, whatever, if you get a job on what turns out to be a long running franchise where you can actually work reliably for years and years and years, like that's,
that's huge.
because, like what, one of my favorite TV shows ever is Magnum PI, and Magnum PI ran for 8 seasons, and they were going to end it after 7 seasons. And then they came back and did one more season. And a lot of people say like, oh, they shouldn't have done that last season. It wasn't as good, but one of the main reasons why they did that last season was that Tom Selleck wanted to give the crew another year of work. Because it wasn't, and I'm sure he was paid handsomely as well. He wasn't being completely selfless, but there were people that, work on, if you have a long running television series and people stick, with their jobs for the duration. I mean, that's a relatively rare thing in the entertainment industry. And I can critique it artistically and say, well, it wasn't as good, et cetera, et cetera. But, like Garrett said earlier, or like Some Random Geek said earlier, it's one thing to say that you don't like a movie. It's another thing to say it shouldn't have existed. Like it's one thing to say like, well, Magnum PI really would have been a better show if it would have ended after season 7 or season 6 or whatever. But does that mean I wish it had, and all those people had been out of work or had to find new jobs or whatever?
They did have to find new jobs.
Eventually.
But they would have had to find a new job this year instead of that year. And especially if they're, I mean, what would make sense is a series more like the other Avatar, where they said, this is going to be the story arc. That's what we're going to do, so that you can kind of plan for,
and ahead of time.
Ahead of time, this is what you plan for, so that and a movie has a similar duration. It's going to be this film, and then and that's also why it's important for your future career to be part of movies that demonstrate what you're capable of in your field. So it's not necessarily if you're working on the technical part of the movie, it maybe doesn't matter if the movie does well at the box office, or if the story is any good, or if the acting is any good, or whatever, because they can say, oh yeah, but did you see the way that, the tails on those thus and such moved? That animation was done by so-and-so. We need to get him for this next project.
Yeah. But, I mean, like especially if you are like a worker on the technical side, or you're a member of crew or something. I mean, I'm not saying that none of those people, have any opinions one way or the other about the quality of the films they work on. But I would imagine for the most part, it's just a job. It's a gig. I mean, it's probably cool that you get to work in the movie industry. But I mean, does it really matter if you're a grip? If you're like, a lighting technician, does it really, you're feeding your family, you're putting food on the table. Does it really matter if you're working on a good movie or a bad movie? It's a job,
Yeah,
And
Garrett,
if
I think that the delay here, I think I'm actually agreeing to it. And you know, that's kind of what the point that I was making about knowing the duration is important, and that, you know, as a, especially as a technical worker, things like the artistic side of it, although there, you know, the technical side of it does have an artistry as well, but things like the story and, you know, how snappy the dialogue is or how good the score is are not as important, or how well it does at the box office. If you can say, here's the thing that I did, and, you know, it shows that you did that well, even if the rest of the movie sucked, then hopefully that would reflect well on you.
hopefully. Yeah.
But at the same time, people are subjective.
Yeah, sure.
So
Shall we jump back into this episode and finish this baby off?
let's do it.
All right. Once again, I'm paused on Hulu at 34:30, which is 9:52 remaining. So I'm going to count us in, and we will finish this episode. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play. I mean, if nothing else, this is good news for Simon.
Bad choices.
Yep. You know, we all make choices. Blam. Ah, nice. Anyway, who wants his guts? Oh God, who gave River a gun?
Not Kaylee.
The end. Well, there we have it. Good episode,
Sad
actually.
music.
I was a little underwhelmed by it at first, but it turned out into a pretty good episode. I was quite
So you
pleased.
like that he died?
Well, yeah. Actually, I did, because when I remember earlier, I said I finally recognized him. That I can't think of his name, and I haven't looked it up, but the actor who played him is the same actor who plays Nox in season 5 of Angel. And of course, Nox is secretly in league with Illyria and is, spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't want to get
Just
spoiled
close your ears. Close your ears. I'll give you a thumbs up when the
from like
spoilers are over.
from a 15-year-old TV show.
Hey.
But hey, but yeah, and he is instrumental in the death of Fred. So
Yes.
he's a bad man. He's a
Bad
man.
man.
And he and and he is the victim in one of my favorite moments of the entire series, when they find out that Knox has been responsible for the death of Fred, and they're all standing in like the office there at Wolfram and Hart, and Angel gives him this big speech about how, like, Knox is scum, but even if it was like, if someone was trying to kill Knox, like, Angel would still fight to to save his life, even his worthless life, because that's what heroes do. And as soon as Angel gets done talking, Wesley shoots Knox and kills him. And Angel turns on Wesley and he says, "Were you even listening?" It's just
like,
perfect.
Yeah, I was just waiting for you to finish.
I love it. Exactly. Okay, I didn't want to shoot over you, so
I mean, you were monologuing.
Exactly.
I didn't want to interrupt.
It's rude.
So, okay, we're good. Spoilers are over.
Yeah, spoilers are over for the last season of Angel. Yeah.
The implied sexual assault of the engineer.
Oh yes. Not the post office guy. The prison rape joke that the cop tells.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Post office guy. I was thinking Kaylee. I was like, I mean, because he grabs her, but I mean it's assault.
It's not. But he doesn't.
Assault.
Yeah, I don't think he implies any sexual assault. But yeah, the post office guy, the cops show up and they're like, "You're gonna get raped in prison." Oh, classy. Stay classy.
Well, I mean, they're bad guys, so
they are. They're bad guys. And and Radical Bacon. Yeah, we only saw that sweater from Wash like for a handful of quick little shots there at the funeral, and yet you were able to reconstruct.
No, she linked to a pattern.
No, well, whatever.
Somebody was able to reconstruct that particular.
Somebody was able to put that together, and then they were able to
to
knit it into
from those few shots.
That's
they
impressive.
Say we reverse engineered a sweater.
That's some Mythbuster shit.
That's
some Mythbuster shit.
That is art.
Yeah, but it was a good episode. It was a good episode, and a very like a really, especially with the ending, like a really serious episode, which is good. Like, I think the show is good enough to carry a couple of those. I mean,
and it does. One of the things I like about this is the way that they, that it doesn't, and you don't. When it does mood whiplash, it does it well.
Yeah.
But this episode has some good comic moments and some good serious beats, and then there's some action in there. It blends it together really well. I think that's one of the things that
and it's well written, like the bit with the bullet, when Mal says, you had a bullet, like the bullet had your name on it, I just carried it for a while, like that's which is the call.
You murdered yourself. I just carried the bullet a while.
It's such a great line, and the way it's foreshadowed with their flashback in the beginning.
Exactly. It's totally deliberate.
It's really nicely done. It's really nicely done.
Corey.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I don't know if that could play, that they could maybe play it out that way, but you still have to act the part of your character. Like, Nathan Fillion as a person does not seem, because I mean, Mal definitely has his lighter side but Nathan Fillion seems much more open than Mal is at that funeral. Like I can imagine him, being more of the sort to have a wake than a funeral for the show. Be like, yeah, remember the time when, yeah, let's drink to that.
Speaking of like that kind of thing, this is one of the coolest. No, it's not really a cool story. It's kind of sad, but one of the most interesting stories from the first season of Star Trek Next Gen, when Denise Crosby left as Tasha Yar. Of course, they write her out of the show by killing her off,
as you do.
As you do. But they actually shot that episode and the episode before it out of order. So she shot her death episode, and then she came back and shot one more episode, which was the episode that actually aired before her death episode. And so if you watch the episode right before Skin of Evil, which is Tasha's last episode, in Tasha's last scene in that episode, she's in the background in the shuttle bay as I think Picard and Beverly are walking out. And as the shuttle bay doors close, you see Denise Crosby as Tasha in the far background between the doors, and she's waving goodbye. And if you're not looking for it, you'll completely miss it because it's way in the background. But it's a really cool moment if you catch it. It's because that was as far as her shooting, goodbye. As far as her shooting schedule, that was her last scene.
Yeah, Radical Bacon, exactly. Yeah. But did they do that? No, they did not.
They did not. And I made a whole video about it. I mean, Skin of Evil is one of the best episodes of the first season, and it's one of I think it's the turning point of the show where it starts to it doesn't become a good show at that point because it's still not a great show, but it starts the climb to being a good show at that point because it's when you start to see all these characters actually care about each other. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean the way they handled, not just the way they handled Tasha's exit, but the way they handled Denise Crosby leaving the show was not good.
Yes.
I mean, there's that story about after she was done, how Rick Berman came up to her after the shot was over and ripped her comm badge off of her uniform and said, "You won't need this anymore." just not cool at all. Not cool at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, this was a good episode of Firefly. As I've said it already. I think the hat thing is another one of those things where I'm just not connecting with the show the way really super fans of it are. Because I think there was another there was an episode we watched a couple weeks ago where it's there were lines of dialogue that people were quoting in the chat, and when it actually got to that part in the episode, I was like, oh.
That's it.
It just didn't resonate with me. And this, and Jane's hat was one of those where it's okay, I get it. It's cute. It's a funny hat, but seriously, is it that big of a, it's not that funny. But I think that's just one of those things that I like the show, but I don't love the show. I don't connect with it as strongly as the really, really hardcore fans of it do.
Yeah. I will say I don't either. I don't consider myself a hardcore Firefly.
Right. Yeah. No, I know.
I enjoy it. There are very few things that I consider myself hardcore fan of.
Yeah.
But I like the dissonance of Jane getting the cunning hat from his mom.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jane, yeah, yeah.
And I like the letter that comes with it and the way that he reads it out loud and kind of stumbles over some of the words, but he still, he still goes for it. And just the idea of, and I mean, I think it's important that it's in this episode because of course, we get to see the family at the end, and Jane takes the hat off. That's part of it as well. That connection with family and the family that you're away from, that you don't get to see.
Yeah.
And I mean, knowing, especially me, knowing what's coming, it's just because of course, Jane feels, I mean, and he says as much to Book, that's, I mean, they don't know at that point, they don't know that Tracy's alive and they don't know that he's going to be dead, but he's like, that's what's going to happen to me. And we've, it's really.
Yeah. And Some Random Geek points out, sometimes you just don't connect with a show. which is fine. You know, it just happens. There are shows that I absolutely adore that other people are like, what's the big deal?
Radical bacon, not exactly. So these are, let me see. Can you see the logo?
Coca-Cola.
Yes. So my father-in-law worked at Coke like his whole career. And so this is some of the, I guess swag that we have. But yeah, they're the same type of cups that Pizza Hut uses because they sell Coke products. Typically, I guess. Although some of the Pizza Hut Taco Bells will sell Pepsi products and they won't have those. But like it's usually the fast foody ones.
Yeah.
But if you watch my favorite Pizza Hut commercial ever, which is one of my favorite commercials ever, is the one before The Land Before Time, where the little boy goes to the birthday party. I think I've made you watch it.
Yes,
like
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
It's so good. Don't forget to share. The cheese is stretching out on the pizza.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, like I would, when we had a video cassette of The Land Before Time, and it had that before the movie, but I wouldn't fast forward it because I liked that commercial so much. I mean, that sucker belonged in the Super Bowl. It's so good. And the mom, I think, was the next door neighbor on some comedy. Was it the one?
It's been so long since I saw it, but
I
would have to watch it again.
The next door neighbor on the one about the android girl.
Small Wonder. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was the next door neighbor on that one, but I'm not 100% sure.
Let me see if I can find that commercial on YouTube.
Jamie J, if you're not familiar with the combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell, you are missing out. Although as we know, in the future, all restaurants will be Taco Bell.
I found the commercial on YouTube. It was so easy. It was the first result.
Of course.
Okay, let me see if I can find the mom.
Well, you should put the link in chat.
Okay, I'll put the link to this is the commercial we're talking about. It's even called Pizza Hut Opener Land Before Time. So
I know it's such a great commercial. It's so great. David C. Drake says The Land Before Time, that takes me back. So that was the character death that marked me in my childhood. That's it. That was the one that was sad.
Yeah, Land Before Time when I was a kid, that was the movie.
Jamie J, no, that wasn't Idiocracy. That was Demolition Man. I'm assuming you're talking about me saying that all restaurants being Taco Bell. That's Demolition Man. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, Steve.
I think you're right. I think for the mom in the commercial, well, because the actress you're thinking of from Small Wonder is Edie McClurg, who has been in a ton of stuff. Like she's just one of those actors that just popped up in 1,000 different things, and it looks like her in the commercial, but I can't find credits for the commercial. But I'm pretty sure that's her.
Oh my goodness. We've got ER Mixon, we've got 11 years to figure out how to use those seashells. The 3 seashells. Oh gosh. I love I might have to, I don't know, 7:42. I don't think I'm gonna.
You're thinking of watching Demolition Man tonight?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. Oh, and rat burgers in the underground. Well, do you see any rats running around? This is rat? I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with a rat burger. I mean, it's all dead animal.
As long as it's clean. Yeah.
If it's the inside of it, you just take off the fur that's coated in dirt, you skin it properly, you're good. I mean, the fur and the skin protects the muscles.
You're not eating the fur.
That's what your skin is for, to protect your innards.
It's to protect your meat. It's to keep your meat nice and pristine.
Yeah. Although Samriti, I disagree though, because you know, after that, like the next one is Mufasa, you know, and Simba's
Lion
reaction
King,
to
yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah, Lion King is just like classic. Although that was when that was one of the first times that I felt old, was I said something about that, you know, to another teacher. I said, you know, that, you know, the Lion King was sort of learning about death and the permanence of death, and you know, reacting to the loss of a parent for our generation. And he said, oh, when that came out, I was too young to go see it in the theaters.
Wow.
I was like, wait, what? He's like, I was like, you know, 3 years old at the time. I'm like,
What are
how
you doing here?
are you a teacher? I'm like, I didn't, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, you know, that goes back to
Yeah.
why certain things connect with you and certain things don't. Because I mean, like when I saw The Land Before Time, I was right in the target audience. Like I was a kid. I was like whenever it came out with an 89, maybe 88, 89. So I was like 8 or 9 years. I was like a kid,
Yeah. I
and
was a kid.
it absolutely dropped me. Like it was. I think I've told you before. I might have mentioned on stream before. It's one of the few movies that was. I mean, it almost made me cry. I mean, and like even as a kid, I was really tough. It was really it was really hard to make me cry like watching a movie. Like even like really emotionally powerful movies don't actually physically make me cry. Very rarely. Um, but Land Before Time was like, oh God. But Lion King, like I appreciate the animation in the Lion King. I couldn't give a
The
shit.
wildebeest scene.
I couldn't
Like,
give
let
it.
them come.
It's really well done. It's really well animated. I couldn't give less of a shit about anything that happens in the Lion King. Like I don't give a fuck when Mufasa dies. I'm like, oh, that's you know a little emotionally manipulative. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. But Land Before Time fucking drops me, and it's
Oh, that's
because I connected with it when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like it sunk its teeth into me and it never let go. Whereas by the time Lion King came out, I was already like 12 or 13, and I was like, Disney, you
you're
know.
too cool for this.
And
No,
well, yeah,
see, I was a little bit older than you, and so I had passed that stage,
yeah,
and I mean Nathan Lane, and that was like either right before or right after there was the Guys and Dolls revival. And I
yes,
just absolutely, Timon was like my favorite. I think I may even have had at some point a Timon plushie or something like that. But like, I mean, you know, I mean, Timon and Pumbaa, but mostly Timon. I mean, why do I always have to save your skin? You know, oh gosh. Like,
yeah,
what do I have to do? Dress a dragon, do the hula? Luau! I mean,
yeah. It just, I
come
mean,
on.
I have I have an appreciation for the artistry involved, but it does it involve me as a story? Not remotely. You know, but and actually that's it's kind of similar because you know we talked about it privately, like just recently for the first time, just a couple days ago, I watched Wreck-It Ralph for the first time and had a very similar reaction to that, where it's like I appreciate this.
Mm-hmm.
I see that a lot of work went into this, and there's some very talented people involved in this. This is just not doing it for me. Like
I
I'm
think
just
for
like,
Wreck-It Ralph, it's not so much of the story, but the actors are having so much fun like
I guess.
playing their characters. I mean, that's one of the things I liked most about Knives Out too.
Well, no, I definitely got that from Knives Out. Wreck-It Ralph, I
My
didn't really
God.
get that so much. I mean,
Chris
Knives Out,
Evans
I
is
thought
just
was
like,
yeah.
I'm not Captain America.
Knives Out definitely had that quality of play about it, yeah. But like I don't know, like I said, and like you know, I mean, the thing about another thing about Wreck-It Ralph is like, I mean, I appreciated that all of the video game references were like 30 years old, so I got them all because that was like back when
Got that reference.
I paid attention to video games. I was like, oh hey, Qbert, I remember him. You know what I mean? Like,
You
so
know
I mean,
what's hilarious is that like I never played, like I got those from Saturday morning cartoons.
oh yeah, because all the big video games had their own
I
cartoons.
know
Yeah,
exactly. That's like, I
yeah,
mean, I've literally I have never owned a console.
yeah,
Like the only like this is my gaming
yeah.
or you know this.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
That's what I
me
got.
too. At the moment, yeah. I had an NES when I was a teenager, and I had a PS2 for a couple years in my 20s, which I eventually just gave to a friend because I was just done with it. I was like, "Do you want this?" Like, I don't. I'm done. I haven't played it for weeks. I'm done with it.
I had some friends in college that had something. I
A thing.
I don't know the difference between them. Like when I see it and it says it on it, then I'm like, oh, it's a PlayStation because it's a
What? Yeah, a
PlayStation, or
PlayStation number, whatever.
it's a PlayStation, or if like it's a Nintendo, it'll say Nintendo on it. And
Yeah.
I like, but I don't know the different versions or anything like
No.
that. Anyway, they had one, and like I'm like, oh God, there's different buttons. Okay. So there's like two X's, like an up, down, and left and right. And then I'm like, so which one actually makes you move up, down, left, and right? Because one of them does, and one of them does other stuff. And I'm just like, okay. And it was the one that had the triangle and the circle and the square
That
and the
was a
X.
PlayStation. That was a PlayStation.
Okay, so because they had Tekken, and they had, I guess they'd played it through till they could get some of the other, like the extra characters. And I learned that if I played the polar bear and I got close enough, I could do either square, square, triangle, or triangle, triangle, square. And it would do like the bear hug, which did a whole bunch of damage, but you had to get close in order to do that. So I would just march right the heck up to the other person, square, square, triangle. And then before they could do anything else, as soon as he started to move again, just square, square, triangle, I'll just spam that. And that's the only thing I could do. That's it. That's all I know. But like they have like, you've got, 4 buttons on each thumb, and then you've got 2 triggers over here. And then I'm just like, there's just too much. They're like all your fingers, and they like, at least with a keyboard, it's flat, for God's sakes. And like, all your fingers are doing different things. And then sometimes there's like a little mini joystick or a scrolly thing in there. And I'm just like, Oh, and then they all have their own different controller, and they work in different ways. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Jamie J, I am definitely not a gamer. Like I said, I owned, the only consoles I've ever owned are my original 8-bit Nintendo when I was a kid, and then PlayStation 2, which I had for a couple years, and I eventually gave away because I was done with it. I mean, during those periods, I played a lot of games. Like when I had an NES, I played a ton of NES games. I played not as many PlayStation games, but I played, and it was mostly like wrestling games and like zombie games. Like I was kind of into, but I never played, any of the like really big like franchise games that people talk about now. Like I've never played any of them or been remotely interested in them. I've played a couple, like I've played mobile games every now and then if they're like I don't, you ever play, there's a mobile game that came out a couple years ago. There was a series of them actually called Monument Valley.
I have heard of that.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's not, it's like really beautifully, like the artwork in it is really, the design of it is really nice. And it tells kind of a very simple story, and you can play all the way through it in not too much time. And I really like that. I really like the puzzle games, the room games. They're like sort of puzzle box games. Those are fun. But like other than stuff like that, like I just have, like I got, I think I told this story on the stream a couple weeks ago. Like I actually downloaded the Star Trek Bridge Crew game, which is like, it's a few years old now, but it's a relatively recent like Star Trek game. And I literally played it for 10 minutes and sent it back and got a refund. Like I just found it so boring. I was just like, there's no way I'm playing this game. It's not my thing. So, and that was like a Star Trek game where you're like the captain on the bridge of and I'm just like, this is, I don't care. I'm not doing this. This is, it's just not my thing. So
it's not your thing.
It's just not my thing.
I don't, the part of it is I am incredibly competitive, and so it's actually it stresses me out to play games that challenge me at in an appropriate way. You know what I mean? I will say, for my best friend, when I was her matron of honor, I've actually got this. I'm gonna see if I can't retake it up here. Shh, give it to them for their anniversary 1 year. Hello, my name is Dana. I'm the matron of honor, and I'm a nerd. That's actually how best friend, and I met. We played the same online video game, and we both had the same favorite character, even though a lot of other people didn't like him. See, he keeps pining for this woman, and she's doing her own thing, and maybe even telling him that he should move on, and he doesn't. She's this mouthy, sometimes trashy, occasionally slightly criminal fireball, and he can't not love her no matter what. But in case you were wondering, the character we both chose to control was the mouthy fireball, because that's just the kind of high-class dames we are. And later on, I wanted to close by paraphrasing something our favorite farm boy says. Being a lady doesn't mean you can't play a killer shadow priest or cuss out ignorant drivers. It means you deserve respect. It means you make the decision of who to put up with and how to be treated. And so that was a game. Star Wars: The Old Republic was a game I liked that I played for a long time, and I still have a lot of fond memories of, even though I don't currently play it and haven't written fan fiction for it in a long time.
But you have written fanfic for it. I mean,
yes, I absolutely have. That's how Zabby and I met, was leaving comments on each other's fanfic. So yeah. And actually we ended up, the character is mentioned on TV tropes in as one of the dark horses that says, you know, this is like a side character. But and originally, and I'm sure it's changed since then, because there have been updates that have gotten new companion characters and things like that. And I'm sure there are others that have. But it's like, if you look on fanfiction.net by character from this video game, it's like, okay, 2 pages for this character, 3 pages for that character. Some random geek, I do, to my knowledge, I don't tonight, because
no Family Zoo.
Nobody's said anything, so I'm off the hook.
But I do want to wrap up soon, because wrestling starts at 8.
Wrestling starts,
and I want to watch wrestling. But
and you want to watch it. So it's, I'll do it for you, Steve.
Oh, Dana,
so yeah,
thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So I'll shut up.
Well,
but
no,
yeah, so anyway, like, you know, if you search by like character name, you know, you might get a half page for this character, 2 pages for this character, 8 pages of stories for the character that we like. And I'm like, yes, a lot of those are mine. So some random geek is helping out in the chat, as always, giving some links. And Steve, you want to talk about the charity links?
There's the charity links, charitylinks.page, which is very important, which is linked in the description of the video, and that some random geek put together for us. It includes fundraisers and PayPal links, and I believe also bail funds and legal defense funds that if you are feeling generous, if you're looking for something to do with a few extra bucks, please click on that link and check out some of those sources and some of those fundraisers and such in the Google Doc. And I know we would all really appreciate your generosity there. Don't forget Dana's YouTube channel, which was just linked in the chat, youtube.com/Dana Coldares. Please watch your awesome video. Watch your awesome videos and leave comments.
You can even just leave a comment that says, "Hi, I was here," or, you know, "You suck," or whatever. I'm just like, "Oh, hey, look, there's a comment."
A comment, engagement. Yes.
I know. I really am. I'm so needy.
You just like interaction.
Joe McClory, if you can't figure that out, then you don't know. DM me on Facebook with your guess. I think we're friends on Facebook, right?
And I will be back on Friday for another edition of Ask Away. So if you are a Patreon patron and you haven't submitted your question yet, you have until Friday. You know, I usually cut it off a few minutes before showtime, 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday, to you know, so submit your question if you have a question, you know. And then
if not, think of one. You've got a couple of days.
You've got a couple of days. And Dana and I will be back next week, which not to make a big deal about it, because it's not a big deal, and I'm not making a big deal about it. But but just for the record, it is my birthday next week on Wednesday, so we will be watching Deep Space Nine on my birthday. And it's not one of my favorite episodes, but it's like it's an episode I don't mind. It's another one. That's
good.
It's another one. It's another one of those episodes that, like, a lot of people don't like it or treat it as like one of the worst episodes. I think it's fine. It's actually an O'Brien episode, and it's called The Storyteller, and that'll be the next thing we watch on Trek Reluctantly. and that'll be a week from tonight. And then a week from Friday, Dana and I will be back to begin our new book series about the other Wes Moore.
Very excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really looking forward to talking about that with you and with everybody in chat.
Me too. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Dana, as always, thank you for joining me and watching Firefly with me. And I had a great time. All that good stuff.
I really did. I had fun.
Me too. I'm glad. I hope everybody who watched along with us had fun too. Everybody, we'll see you later. Have a good evening. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.